I'm going to go ahead and allow one more minute for some of our latecomers. So if you'll bear with me for just one more minute. Good evening, everyone. Welcome. We are going to go ahead and get started. So thank you for spending some time with us this evening. Hopefully we get the opportunity to answer some of your questions about second quarter. Hopefully everyone can hear me. And please let me first share with you how this evening is going to run. We are only going to be on for 30 minutes. We're going to keep this one nice and brief so that you can get back to your families. I know that it is not easy to schedule evening time away from them, and you probably have plenty going on in the background, but I thank you again. Down at the bottom of your screen, you should be able to see a Q&A option. And so if you have any specific questions as we are going through, Mrs. Jarrett and I are both here, and we'll introduce ourselves in just a moment. But that is the place for you to put specific questions. And oftentimes with these, we have found that the questions are very specific and specific to your situation or to your student, which is why we're keeping tonight's session very brief, but then inviting you, if you have very specific questions or just need something clarified, we ask you to please email myself and Mrs. Jarrett, and one of us will reply. We're going to tag team your questions and make sure that they get a response. You get a response in time so that all of your questions hopefully have been answered and maybe even some of those fears alleviated. That is our goal. So again, welcome to our town hall. For those of you I have not had the pleasure of meeting yet, my name is Laura Piper. I am the headmaster. And I would like to invite Mrs. Jarrett to introduce herself, just so you all can put a face with the name.
Hi, good evening. My name is Mindy Jarrett. I am our Dean of Students. I'm looking forward to a fun evening together.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Jarrett. So again, we are talking today about what second quarter might look like for both our distance learning and a little bit for our brick and mortar. This meeting is very focused for our distance learning families, especially those who are currently trying to make that choice. So as I move to my next slide, a quick reminder. On Friday, I sent out a survey to all of you and asked you to complete a survey that would allow us to know who is coming back and who would like to remain in distance learning. This survey, I need it to be completed by Friday at noon, because immediately after that, I'm going to take that data and share it with our teachers. And then we will have a week together to organize, plan, and share. So again, similar to first quarter, if you choose distance learning on and by Friday the 25th at noon, your student will need to stay in distance learning for the whole quarter, and then we'll have another opportunity to come back to the campus in brick and mortar in January. Oh, that's a long time. In January when we start quarter 3. But if you choose brick and mortar and then perhaps halfway through the quarter feel as though you need to pull back, any student may step into distance learning at any time. That still holds true throughout the quarter. And just to clarify, it is much harder for our teachers in the classroom to make those changes and arrangements coming in than it is when a student is stepping out to distance learning, which is why we need to do that, so that your teachers are giving their focus and their dedication to their children, and not all of the logistics behind some of this. So I appreciate those of you who have just borne this with us and are really working to strive to make this a doable situation. I thank all of you who have supported your teachers, who have loved on them, who have provided snacks and treats and sent those really kind emails, because those are the things that are keeping us going. Those are the things that remind us why we do what we do. We love your children, and there is no question about that. So thank you. Thank you for all of that. So as we move, and if you decide your family is ready or your student is ready to come back to the building in brick and mortar, there are a couple things that I do want to just remind you of. We have a new system for pickup at the end of the day. And so you will need to come into the school or schedule a time with the front office. And you can just email accfrontoffice@archwaychandler.org, or Mrs. Tobin, Mrs. Fox, Mrs. Piper, and any one of them can help get you those placards. You will need that placard with your number on it in order to pick up your child at the end of the day. We have a new system, so everyone is waiting in their classroom. It's nice and cool. No one's standing out in the heat except our teachers. And you will need to be sure that you have that, or whoever's picking up your children. Please be sure that they have all of their supplies. Double check with your teacher and see and make sure that they have all of the notebooks and things that a brick and mortar student, and your distance learners probably already have it, but we just want to make sure that they aren't, that they are prepared when they come into the classroom, because remember, this year we're not sharing supplies. Every student is going to have their own as a sanitary measure so that we can be safe and happy. And so we just ask that you take care of those things before coming in, which is that October 14th start date. That is a half-day Wednesday, because immediately after fall break, we have conferences, which will be via Zoom. So on Friday at noon, you will all have completed this survey and told us what your decision is. And then I'm going to send that information to our teachers. So our teachers will then be able to count those numbers, double check, and see who is coming in and who is going to remain in distance learning. And they're going to email you families, because we recognize that sometimes those numbers are part of your decision. So I recognize that we're asking you to make a decision based upon a guess, but we welcome you into that world. That's what we have been doing for much of the first quarter, is making decisions based upon what we think is going to work and what we think is going to be best. So that email will come to you on the 29th. And if you choose brick and mortar and then see that number and say, you know what, I'm not feel comfortable with that, not a problem. Pull back into distance learning. No issue there. We will handle that. And then I just ask that you send me an email and we can make that change. We want to keep our faculty, our students safe, and we want you as parents to know that we are making every effort that we possibly can. So that will come to you on the 29th. And then, because it's quarter two, and we've learned a lot through this first quarter, this experience of hybrid learning, your teachers may have a shift in their schedule. We know it's not ideal, but as they have learned, as they have come to understand all of the technology and the needs of our students, and that's really a lot of it, they recognize that there are different needs that maybe we couldn't account for because we didn't know they were there or existed. And so in this learning, there will be some changes. You'll see in most of the grade levels, your student might be assigned to the A class, but they'll see videos or Zooms from the B teacher or the C teacher. And that will continue to be the case. We are allowing the teachers to share that burden and really work with one another. One, to keep that education consistent so that our students in that grade level are truly receiving this great same education, but also to share the load, because what we're asking them to do is a lot. They have long, busy, new days. So then by Friday, the 2nd of October, I am shocked to believe that we are so close to October already, but by that Friday, you will have the new schedule. So you have all of fall break and a little bit to really prepare your family schedule or your student's schedule. We're trying to give you as much notice as possible. So some questions that have come up: has there been any change to the mask policy? No, there has not been any change. We still expect that every student who comes in and leaves our campus wears a mask, that anytime they are moving from one location to another, they wear their mask. And then we do still have shields that every student will have on their desk, and that will continue through this quarter. And when they are at their desk, when they are behind that shield, that's when they have the option and opportunity to advocate or take a break. Some of our younger grades, our teachers are reminding them. And so if they're sitting down to read a story, the teacher might say, okay, go ahead and take your mask down, read a page, go ahead and put your mask back up, so that we are teaching them how to advocate, but that would be the time. We're teaching them social distancing. Sometimes we are just more successful than others because they're children and they love, and they have a great love for one another. And we are trying to help and encourage without policing. The last thing we want to do is build fear into their daily life. We also have a traffic flow pattern, which I'm sure your students probably are not aware of, but we as teachers and educators and the admin, we got together and we planned the whole thing so that when you travel to this special, you walk this way, and this class is going to walk that way, so that we are eliminating as much hallway time and shared space as we possibly can, which is a good thing. And it seems to be going pretty well, which is wonderful. Our teachers are doing an amazing job. The lunchroom will also remain the same. Again, there is one grade level that is eating in the lunchroom at one time. And the way our lunchroom is split, we have, I believe it's second grade who comes in and eats first. And so they're on one half of the MPR. And then the next grade, third grade, when they come in, they eat on the other half, so that this half is being cleaned and washed and sanitized, so that they are not sitting right on top of anyone. We have this rotating time block. So that will continue to remain the same. And we have increased a little bit, put 5 minutes in between most of the specials, so that the specials teachers in the class have some time to clean and sanitize. So I'm hoping that that is continuing to stop the spread of COVID-19. I hope that this continues. I am happy to report that as of today, we have 0 confirmed cases on our campus. There was one over at CPA, but it posed no threat and no concern to our students, our faculty, or our staff. We have an incredible response team, which actually Mrs. Jarrett leads. And parents, you have been so kind and supportive and have shared details and information, and we've been able to research, and we've worked very closely with the Maricopa Health Department to know exactly how we move forward. Great Hearts has been a big support, so it seems as though things are working. And that brings me great hope and great joy, and I hope it does for you as well. So I wanted to take a moment and allow Mrs. Jarrett to share with you some thoughts that we had, some things that our teachers would like you to know when it comes to those live sessions and those Zoom sessions with your distance learners. So go ahead, Mrs. Jarrett.
Yes, thank you so much. So we made quite a few transitions in Q1, didn't we? We went from all distance learners to what we call hybrid learning. So that means we have some brick and mortar students in the classroom and some distance learners all participating in some of the same activities. And so I appreciate your flexibility, as sometimes did need a change for those Zooms when brick and mortar did open back up. That did require some flexibility. Moving forward into Q2, knowing that we have this hybrid schedule, Ms. Piper talked about the teachers will be emailing you that schedule. So please look at that before fall break and really commit to those times. In Q1, we did allow students who were not in the Zoom, all of the Zooms, to be able to turn in their work, and they still were counted present for that day. We did find that students were missing big chunks of information in doing that. So for Q2, attendance will be taken periodically throughout the Zoom. So it's not necessarily going to be in the first 10 minutes or in the last 10 minutes. It's going to be taken periodically throughout that Zoom. So it's important that your child attends the Zoom and gets in the first 10 minutes and stays on that Zoom. And while they're in that Zoom, we'd like for them to have their video on the whole time. We do know that they're going to need to get up and go to the restroom and those sort of things. But we would like them to keep their camera on, even if they have to step away for a moment, just like they would in the classroom. So we really can help them feel a part of the experience with the students in the class. I've witnessed a lot of teachers having the distance learners projected up on the screen so that the kids in the class can see them and they're all interacting together. And I think that's a really beautiful thing our teachers are doing to really help connect and keep our community alive. One thing we also did in Q1, especially in the beginning when we all were distance learning, is that we recorded our Zooms, the teachers did, excuse me, and uploaded them every day. That won't be the case for Q2. That is very time consuming for our teachers. First they have to download it, then they have to upload it every single day. So moving forward in Q2, the Zooms will not be recorded and uploaded every single day. So that is going to be a change. In the lower grades, K to 2, there is a wonderful program that we have purchased called Reading A to Z. And in our lower grades, we do a lot of one-on-one reading with our students at their reading level. Reading A to Z allows that to happen still over in our distance learning and gives them that one-on-one experience where they're able to read that book. So I'd really encourage you, if you are choosing a distance learner, to make sure you're still doing that Reading A to Z every single day, just as you would when you're in the classroom. They would bring home those reading bags. That is the same thing what Reading A to Z is doing. It's really focusing on their reading skills and helping them get that practice. So that's also going to apply for their reading sessions that they sign up for once a week with either the teaching assistant or the teacher, where they read with them one-on-one. If you miss that reading session, please do not ask the teacher to make that up. We have the most kind-hearted and loving teachers in the world, and we have seen them eating their lunch to make up sessions. We've seen them staying at school till 5 and 6 p.m. to upload Zooms and to make up missed sessions, and because they love your children. And so we want them to be able to give, but also at the appropriate times. So please pay attention to when those times are posted and given to you, so that way it can really be a great relationship building time for you and your child and their teacher, because they really are giving their all to your kiddo and they want to give their all to your kiddo. If there ever is a technical problem when you're logging onto your child's Zoom session, please make sure you email that teacher right away, so they aren't marked absent when it's a technical problem. But you will need to email immediately that it is a technical problem. Otherwise, it could be assumed they're just not in attendance. But they will need to attend those live Zooms every day for their attendance purposes. We know it's been a lot of change, and we appreciate your flexibility and your thoughtfulness and your kindness towards our teachers as they really pour into your kiddo. So we really appreciate your patience and understanding with us and the teachers amidst all this change. Thank you, Ms. Piper.
There we go. Absolutely. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that, Mrs. Jarrett. I do want to reiterate that technological problems, have happened. And those of you who have experienced them know how frustrating that is, because everyone is doing everything they can to help, and then something doesn't work. And that is incredibly frustrating. But know that the teachers are sitting down and truly lamenting those moments, because it's also outside of their control when those things happen. And I have had many a teacher come in and like Mrs. Jarrett said, just they love your children and they are giving so much, but we cannot give from an empty cup. And you know that as families, you recognize that you need time to replenish and refill. Your children need time to replenish and refill. So too do our teachers. And this first quarter, we have seen that they are just continuing to give, and they are buoyed up by those moments when they get to have beautiful opportunities to engage with your children. Those are the fun things. That's the whole reason any of us got into education, is because we love learning and we love teaching children how to learn. And so I'm going to quickly stop sharing my screen, because you've seen it all now. and just remind you when you can that some days it feels like every email back and forth is this didn't work, that didn't work, and I'm so sorry, but please remind your teacher of those things that went well this quarter, especially as we come to the end of first quarter. There are some good things happening. Mrs. Jarrett and I walk around during the school day and see children playing. It's beautiful. They seem very unbothered by these masks. It seems very almost normal to them. I have seen everything that I would usually see in a typical year. We see great successes already. We've seen big meltdowns because this has been a hard year, both teacher and student meltdowns. I just want to put that out there. We've all had a meltdown or two, and I'm willing to bet that even you parents have had a couple, because we are human, and this is so unknown for all of us. There is no playbook. There is no guiding light. We are doing everything to the best of our ability, and because we love your children and we love you, and you have been kind and you have been warm, and I just ask that you continue that. So in the last couple of minutes, I would like to share with you what a typical teacher day looks like. So our teachers have started getting up earlier and earlier because there are a lot of messages that come in the evening, both from families. I'll be honest, I've sent emails in the evening, Mrs. Jarrett has too, because there are things and pieces of information that need to be communicated. And so they're getting up earlier so that they can have some morning time to read those emails and make sure they are ready for the day. They prepare and have to review their lesson plans. We have, you all know this, many experienced teachers who have been here for 5, 6, 7, 10 plus, well, 10 years because this school has been in existence, but many of them have more than that. And they know these lessons backwards and forwards. But this is first year all over again, because we have to remember, when's the Zoom? How do I do this? Which piece of equipment and which cord goes in with here and there and what? And some of us are really good with that. Some of us are not. And so we've had to learn and adjust. So they are waking up 5 in the morning just to get a head start on the day. Our teachers are here. They are ready. Most of them well before 7 a.m., but most of them are right around 7. And you know that drop off begins right at 7:35. So the TAs and our wonderful ESS and specials teachers are out while our homeroom teachers are in the classroom ready to receive students. And so 7:35 to 8 a.m. we have, and then they're on. They are there. They are doing that bell work. Maybe they're preparing for that first Zoom. They're grading. They are starting to collect. They're sanitizing again and making sure that everybody has at their desk the things that they're going to need for the day, because students, many of them are not used to, oh, I don't have a spot where I can just go pick up a pencil. I really have to prepare it. And so all of these extra little pieces are happening. So maybe they go to their first special, and during that special, most of our teachers are continuing to grade, which I'll let you in on a little secret. Online grading takes them about twice as long, just because of the mode and the way in which they have to go. So I'm just reminding you that these things, that's what they're doing during that preparation time, is grading and catching up in many of those cases. So then they pick up their class and probably that first Zoom begins. So they're teaching that lesson and someone online can't see, so they readjust. And then someone in the classroom, it's in my way, so they readjust then. And we are continually doing this all day long. And so then we move from one thing to the other. Many of them are using their prep time to connect with their distance learners, which is absolutely great, but then they're not prepping. And so that's why we get a lot of that 5, 6 p.m. work. And it is because they love. I have heard so little complaining about time, and more teachers coming to me saying, Ms. Piper, I'm not my best self. I'm not giving everything to my students. And so I ask you to remember that. When you feel like they're not giving enough attention to your student, they know, and they're working to fix that. It is not something that we just say, oh well, that's not who we are. That's not who these teachers are. We can attest over and over again that these are teachers who want it to go well. These are planners, and this is not a time that is kind to the planners and the type A's of us out there who really struggle with changing on a dime. So again, I just want to remind you of a couple of things. One of the things that they asked me to share with you is when we get distance learning work, we can turn that around much quicker when it's all on time. And we recognize that life happens and sometimes that's not the case, but the more we can practice that attendance on time and turning in assignments on time, the faster your child will get feedback, the greater the speed, and the more content they'll actually be able to get through, because our teachers then know, oh, this one has it. We need to work with this one, and they can really focus that attention. One of our teachers, who is also a parent, suggested the Google Classroom app. She has it on her phone, and so when her children turn in an assignment and then receive a comment, it alerts her. Now that's what works for her, and I'm not saying that it's going to work for everyone, but that way she as a parent can help her children and recognize and sees that comment, and maybe the comment is, oh, I'm so sorry, this is blank, could you try it again? Then she can step in. Or maybe it's feedback on this assignment, and then we can help and work with one another. But if we're not able to communicate, that hinders that hinders the work that we're trying to do. So again, thank you for putting everything together. My last reminder is it is not possible for us, try as we might, to create an in-person experience online. Those of you who have been with us know that we are not an online school, and that is a good thing. That is a proud thing. We do very well, and we do good things, our teachers, and they are trying, but this is not ideal. And so the things that they're able to give online truly are the best things and the most important things, and the things that your students will truly, truly need. Just want to remind you that it's not possible to recreate. So a couple of things to think about, and a few things, final thoughts to know. Our distant learning full day kindergarten program will no longer be offered. There aren't enough students in that program, and we will communicate with those families individually, but and the work and the efforts that are going into it are not reaping the benefits either for the students or for the teachers. And so if you have a kindergartner who is doing distance learning, the only option will be half day for you. We also want to allow our teachers some time for preparation, and so we are doing as much as we can to give them those Wednesday afternoons. And so with the uncertainty of some of the numbers, I have not seen anything change hugely, but we're going to hold firm with only offering sports kids as the club on Wednesday and no other clubs. So thank you very much for your patience and understanding there. We do think that's the best and safest option. And please reach out to Athenaeum. That's programs that your students could be in, and they offer a half day only option if you are a family who just needs your student to stay until you can pick them up at 3 o'clock or so. There is one more question, then I want to go ahead and circle back to it and remind you. If we have a certain number of students, and I don't have that number because these finalized numbers, but if it looks doable, what we would do is take our distance learners, and they will still remain in their homeroom class. I want to reiterate that. Their homeroom teacher is still responsible for them. But many of you have seen this going. Maybe they're on a live Zoom and it's not their A teacher. Maybe they're seeing a live class from the B class. And that's absolutely fine and appropriate. That keeps consistency, that keeps it going. These students aren't grouped again and pushed aside with a different teacher, but rather they're able to observe and be a part of different classes. And some of those recorded classes might come from another teacher, but that tutoring, that one-on-one time, their homeroom teacher of record will remain the same. So I hope that this answers many of your questions. Hopefully it alleviates some of your fears. I am fairly certain that there are so many other questions, but again, I recognize that your time is valuable. Your family needs you. This is a great opportunity for us to spend extra time with family because life has calmed down a little bit. And I would ask that you reach out to me, again, L Piper with a Y, P-Y-P-E-R, at archwaychandler.org, and Mindy Jarrett, M Jarrett, 2 R's, 2 T's, at archwaychandler.org. If you will please email both of us, we can help one another, answer your questions quickly. We want to get all of these questions answered for you, hopefully tomorrow, so that you can turn in that survey by Friday at noon. And then next Tuesday, you will have numbers. So if that number is important to you, we will be able to communicate and figure out what we're going to do with that. So again, I thank you all for your time this evening. I know that you have so much to do, and I appreciate you spending a little bit of it with us. Thank you, Mrs. Jarrett, for spending some time. Please email us your questions. We will respond. That's what we're going to be focused on for the next day and a half or so. Thank you so much, and have a beautiful evening, everyone. We love your children, and we are so grateful you're a part of our community. Have a great night.